Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Think Different podcast. We are happy that you're here every single week for all the episodes. Can you believe we are at 98 episodes? That is right. That was the year I was born, and that's how old Frank is. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much for coming with us every single week and joining us for the Think Different podcast. This is a podcast for former Apple employees here to enjoy and entertain your masses for the entire world. So, I am Will, the TLD, the former Apple specialist creative and genius, and of course, along with me every single week is the former Apple creative, retired book publisher, soccer mom recorder, Jurassic Park owner, retirement home president, the keto trout drummer himself, Frank Funk is here.
Hey, how you doing, man? What's going on? That was it.
I cracked out the first time man. That's the first time I cracked up on this. I have never cracked up, but today I just kept. It's getting longer. We're gonna get there. I mean, the whole episode just might be trying to introduce you.
Yes.
We have no news. That's all it's gonna be.
Yep.
So, well, we wanted to talk. A lot has happened in 2 weeks. We had the new iPhone has now been released. The new iPad Mini is in people's hands. People have their iPhone 13. A lot of reviews came in. iOS 15 came out. We also have a couple other things that are going on. Some things that are iPhone 13 related. Some things that are, not related. But we also want to give our feedback on iOS 15 because that is something we both have in our devices. But before we start, something I haven't done in a long time, and that is today Apple history. That's right. So I wanted to talk about something that happened, and this is from the week of September 26, 1997. And this is when Steve Jobs revealed a quarterly loss of $161 million.
Yes, 24 years ago, man.
24 years ago. And this was a loss because, of course, he came back to the company, I think around August, around that time frame.
Yes.
And that year.
The former CEO, Gil Amiello, he was only CEO for 500 days. So that's what? That's
wow.
16, that's 16 months.
Yeah,
a little shy of a year and a half.
And the company lost a massive $1.6 billion in there, essentially wiping
leadership.
out every profit since 1991.
Yeah.
So that is crazy. And some of the things that he talked about was the cloning Macs, and what they decided to do was to buy back iOS 8, and that was the start of when Mac OS was only going to be on Apple platform from now on. You couldn't use it anywhere else. So that was a big turnaround.
Gil was trying to sell the Mac operating system, so you would essentially have clones of a Mac, just like in you could buy a Toshiba running Windows, you can buy a Sony, you can buy an IBM while running Windows, different manufacturers, but the same operating system. And that's what Gil wanted to try to do with the Mac operating system. When Steve came back, it was only supposed to be temporary until he found the replacement, but he stayed on. And once he made the announcement, that following quarter, they were back on the road to recovery and showing a profit again. So very quickly, he centralized Apple and put them back in focus and concentrating on making the Apples and the Macs as top of the line product again.
So speaking of that, the month before they introduced the new iMac, the new clear blue color design that was eventually, I think, the starting of the savior. I mean, you got to think the iMac G3 was a clean look computer, and of course the I meant internet. Of course, everyone, a lot of people, and it's pretty much the start of the save of Apple was that iMac G3. So that's why I think that iMac deserves a lot more praise than I think it gets.
Yeah. Well, and again, they were using the G3. They were using the IBM chips at that time. Um, and when did they? What year did they stop using the IBM chips, the power
The
chips? Do you
Power PC
remember?
chips you're referring to, right?
Yeah,
I believe that was around 2007, 2008. They
yeah,
started. I think
and
2008 was about that
that was a
year.
big
Because I
thing
remember
because
I
then they,
bought a Mac, and then all of a sudden they came out with a new design, and then the Power PC chip was removed.
yeah,
So that was, I remember that very well because I just bought a white iMac, and then they came out with this new silver design iMac that
yeah,
had that Intel chip in it. So yeah,
yeah,
I was pretty pissed. So let's just say I
yeah.
was stuck
Well,
with a
that was
Power
a big
PC.
thing. There was a big division whether that was a good move to drop the power PC chip and go to the Intel.
And look where we are
Um,
today, Frank. We are now have an Apple. We have come full circle with the Apple One chip.
yep.
Now, so Apple Silicon is now here, and that is we're going back to what that was, but we're seeing much different results this time around
Oh yeah.
regarding that.
Well, the
But
power
we've had
PC chip was bought by IBM.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, let's talk a little bit about what we have in our hands already, and that is the iPhones. Now, we both upgraded to iOS 15,
Yeah.
so the install went perfectly fine.
Yeah.
What are some? I could tell you some of the things that I already like about it. Now, I have been using Safari with the address bar on the bottom, and I've been getting used to it. One of the things I actually like, and this is something that's very unique, and I didn't even realize that maybe it was always there, but when I swipe from the bottom to the right, I could switch between the tabs.
Yeah.
Now, that might, some people might, if you don't do it the right way, it doesn't do it right. But I can tell you that me swiping from the bottom, swiping across left and right to go to the different tabs, I love that. And also, my hand doesn't have to go to the top of the phone to type. So a lot of people weren't liking it. But I really like it. I'm getting used to it. I'm starting to finally type on the bottom where I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying it.
One of the features I like on that is where it will the privacy feature in Safari. It'll hide your IP address,
Right.
and that's very nice. Also, you can set up aliases in your email, so you can use and they all
That's an
tie
iCloud
back.
specifically.
Yes.
That's an iCloud specifically. So I don't know if that works for your mail providers, like your current ones. Does it work for your current mail providers, or do you have to use the iCloud email?
Oh, you have to use the iCloud email.
Right. That's
And
the point I
actually,
wanted to
that
make.
was something that they used to have in way back when they first started with the mail system. What was that? Trying to
How about
remember.
Mac? Is that
Mac.
.Mac?
Yeah, .Mac.
Yeah, .Mac had that around a while ago. That was when you got .Mac,
Yep.
you had like a whole bunch of plethora of things. One of them was an alias email that you could have created, and then when I think Mobile Me came along, that went away,
They did away with
and
it.
then they came back. Yeah.
Now it's coming back. It's a very
Yeah.
handy feature. Very,
This
very
is
handy.
this is a small thing too, but when I swipe down, I do like a search for like an app, and maybe I see an app in there I don't use anymore, or it's like another version of it. I hold down my finger, and now I have the ability to delete it. But I don't remember being able to do that before. I could be wrong, but I really don't remember when I'm searching apps and I hold down my finger on it that I was able to physically remove it from that part.
Yeah. Well, I think they're,
Cut out again.
when they
Jeez, I don't know what's
issue, I think when they issue a new operating system, it really makes us a little bit more conscious of what's going on. And you find a lot of neat things that you either forgot that you could do, or new things that you can do. And so it's just a matter of saying, "Oh, I like that," and then you can, you start using it more and more, and then it just becomes second nature.
Mhm.
You know, I haven't yet, but I'm anxious to start playing with the smart folders in photos and things like that. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I really haven't dived too much into the photos area. I really haven't seen a difference. I mean, really, in the For You section, I mean, it's showing like Halloween right now, 2018, my Cancun trip. So it is showing like some things, but I haven't actually played back anything and looked through it. But it looks a lot better as far as. But for example, I went in 2018 on this day was on September 29th of 2018. I went away to California, so that's an example.
Yeah. So, but there's so many interesting things in iOS 15, and like you said earlier, it loaded relatively quickly, no glitches. Very nice, very nice. And then you have the new focus features.
Yeah, that's a terrific feature. I love that a lot because when I go to work and when I went through the setup process, there were things I didn't want to get. Like, for example, my son's in his bed, and I don't want to get the notifications of him moving around. What am I going to do here? So
right.
On the focus feature, which then when I am away, I'm able to do that. Now, one of the things I want to start doing is I have a camera in my home that I didn't want to have on because every time someone moves, I would get a pop-up, which happens a lot in the home because my wife works from home. But I want to set up a feature where we're all both gone and we are able to watch the house. And that's a feature I want to turn on, maybe a driving feature, or I manually make one that's called me and my wife out, and I create like something special. So there's the focus mode is terrific. It blocks out a lot of notifications I don't need to see.
Right. My tendency is when I either put in a new app or periodically I'll go through all my apps through notifications, and the ones that I don't want, I'll turn them off. And when I install a new app, my inclination is to say no, don't send me notifications. And then if I find that maybe I do want them, then I'll go in and turn them off. But my first choice is to turn them off.
Yeah, is there anything that you don't like about iOS 15? Something that's like annoying you, or you feel like it's not working correctly?
No. I haven't tried in the. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, one thing that they need to improve on, and this is for iOS 16. When I have to swipe left and right to go between the different picture modes, that's annoying. That's a lot. Look at this. I go from time lapse, slow mo, video, photo, portrait, pano, and then when I get the new phone, cinematic will be in there. That's a lot of swiping to do to go between different things. So think about it. If I'm on time lapse, the only way I can go all the way over to pano is I have to literally swipe the entire way across.
Well, what before? Isn't that feature still there? I'm using my phone as my camera, so I can't. But isn't that feature still there with the when you touch the app, you can select where you want to go right away?
You can set up. Screen? I don't know about that to directly to what mode you want.
Yes.
Yeah, but that switches all the time. Like, I mean, I honestly think swiping left and right to go 7 spots to one area, I can't make a camera button for every single one.
No. What I'm saying is when you execute the app, if you hold your finger on it, don't you get that little pop-up window?
Well, you get like that's if you're on photo and then you really want to do video, or it's not intuitive. They have to figure out a way to allow us to go from photo to portrait or to time lapse quicker than swiping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I'm saying? It's getting to and now with cinematic mode added to this, that's just another thing that we got to swipe through. So I'm hoping for iOS 16, that is something they realize and they have to improve upon. They have to find a way to swipe to it. There's just so much going on in the photo app. There's got to be a way to condense it.
Or maybe you have 2 photo apps. Maybe you have one as a movie camera, and one is your still.
But then people are going to be like, well, how do I get to my still camera? They got to build that in there.
Yeah.
So that's the hope. So, well, we'll see. But iOS 15, I've enjoyed it. I had no problem setting it up. I think the focus mode is definitely something to do. Use the Apple Tips app. In fact, that's how I learned a lot of new tricks. So if you look up tips, If it's not on your phone now, you could download it for free, and then you could actually see the tips for iOS 15. I think it's very helpful for everybody on there. As far as feedback from the iPhone 13 goes, tech reviewers say that there are three main things that I think most people care about when it comes to a new phone. That's battery, display, and camera, which is something that was upgraded on all the models. And I think where the 12 failed was that the battery life wasn't improved. In fact, it got worse for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And you're not an example of that, but if someone went from 11 to a 12, they wouldn't be happy, I think, with the battery life. But this one with the almost up to 2 hours on the max, 2.5 hours on the max, people are very happy with the battery life. I mean, from what I'm seeing, they love the ProMotion display. In fact, they've got like an award for like the best display. And then the cameras are top notch. Again, video on an iPhone, you can't beat it.
You can't. Listen, my grandson was playing football, right? So he was showing me some videos.
Playing soccer. Remember, you're a soccer mom.
No, football. But he was showing me some videos that they take from up in the booth, right? And I'm looking at them. I'm thinking, man, that's pretty shitty quality. And I said, well, look at the ones I took. And he's like, oh, wow, that's really. I mean, they're like crystal clear, and I'm just standing in the stands. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, and I have the 12, not the 13, but boy, it really takes some. Even on if you zoom, it really crystal clear.
It's much more clear than on your own Mac right now. Like our Macs.
Oh yeah,
720. Yes. They're not even that good quality compared to this. You're using your phone as a camera because the camera on your Mac is terrible compared to it.
Yeah.
That's the reality of what it is. But I'm hoping with these new cameras, when I get to test them out and do some video, especially when I do my weddings, what it's going to look like and what I'm expecting to see based on what I have now. So iPhone 13, people seem to be very happy with it. It's a well worth upgrade. Verizon tried to trick me, man. They were going to give me like a $800 upgrade, like a real big upgrade, but I had to upgrade my 5G because I'm not going to be on 5G for the first time. And I was like, my bill goes up $15 a month. I'm like, no. And then I realized I can get maybe a $500 trade-in for the iPhone 11 with a 512, maybe a little bit more. And then with my discount that I'm hoping that some of you Apple employees out there are going to give me, I'm going to take advantage of that. And it really just kind of comes down to the same thing. So I'm kind of happy with just waiting for a discount to come through.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of iPhone 13 displays, some things came out about that's very interesting, which affects how third-party providers are going to have to fix these. Now, there's a special chip that is inside of the display that if a third-party replacement display is put on, it turns out the Face ID will no longer work.
Yeah.
Which is a big difference. And again, they're trying to deter people from going to a third party to fix it. Which, by the way, Apple has opened that door beyond an Apple store now, which a lot of people tend to forget that you could probably go anywhere within 15 miles and probably get a repair done.
Yeah, from an authorized repair person.
Authorized, now, yes.
Here's my take on that. There's a lot of people that are they jump on everything because, there it is, Apple again, trying to control. But here's the thing. If you go out and buy an appliance, you go out and buy a car, I don't care what it is. If you tamper with it, in a lot of cases, you void the warranty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because you are not, I say you or Cousin Harry is not an authorized repair person.
Cousin Harry, yes.
So this is no different than any other appliance. Any other, I don't care what it is you buy. Mm-hmm. Go buy a TV and then say, you know what? I'm going to try to repair this myself. And then if it doesn't work, you take it back to say, no, sorry, you voided the warranty by opening it. It's no different. Yep. It's no different. Yep. So I tend to look at this hubbub as like just another item that people want to jump on Apple about and say, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that. It's no different than anything else. And
Yeah, the right to repair movement is starting to grow. In fact, I think I remember one law was in effect in one state that allows that to happen now. But you know, what happens, by the way, is that there's a display message that says unable to verify this iPhone has a genuine Apple display. It actually will say that when
right.
you try to set up your Apple, when you try to set up your Face ID. So the bottom line is there is no reason whatsoever. And by the way, the prices now are very comparable to fixing it because of the amount of time it takes. And
Yes.
there's no reason to go with third party shop. In fact, if you really look around, you rarely see too many people go to a third party shop anymore. I mean, back in the day when the iPhone was first starting out, when it was an iPhone 5, I mean, honestly, it was very easy to change the display. It was three things, and it was a Touch ID button. That was it. And sometimes maybe the Touch ID was not that great, but it worked. It's getting harder and harder with IPA, being added onto the phones, especially IPA. That was definitely a big thing, and that's where iPhone 7 took over with the IPA rating, with the VHB that seals it in. You have to trust that these places have VHB that's going to work right.
Right.
It's really dumb right now to go to a third-party shop. Now, if you have an old one that doesn't work anymore, and if it's like an iPhone 5S right now, like go to a third-party shop. That's fine. But but right now, like a phone that's active right now, you got to go to Apple to know is done.
Why would you buy an iPhone 13, let's say, because that's what this article's about, and you have a problem with your screen? Well, why would you go to a non-authorized repair person when it is under warranty? That's what I don't understand.
I'm thinking like down the line, because this is like a sign of things to come. It's not going to be just the iPhone 13 that's going to do it. It's going to be the 14. It's going to be the 15. So it's going to be a change.
Yeah, but think of it this way: if with Apple's current policy on the Apple Protection Plan, if you purchase the Apple Protection Plan, once that Apple Protection Plan expires, you can renew it at $4 a month. I mean, Come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Apple has definitely made it easier to do this now. So this was an interesting thing too with Apple employees. Apple employees were I don't know if this is true or not, but I have a feeling it might be, that Apple gave a $1,000 bonus to retail employees ahead of the iPhone 13 launch.
Yes.
So it says that those who joined after that date are eligible for, which is March 31st, 2021. Those who joined after that are eligible for a $500 bonus. New staff for the upcoming shopping season will get $200, and then $1,000 who are hired before March 31st. That's a pretty big deal.
Yes.
Apple doesn't do that very often, but this was a reward for those working during the coronavirus. But I think also Apple Care got this, online sales got this. So that was a pretty cool thing. The last bonus that we got was in 2018. We were there for this when they distributed $2,500 in restricted stocks that we all got a benefit of. So, which I still have on mine. So that was a pretty cool thing that Apple, and they still do give this today.
Yeah.
So
and this was another article that people jumped on and said, "Oh, come on, just pay them more money." And all the naysayers, I mean, to me, it was pretty obvious. They have no idea what Apple pays their employees in terms of retail. It's a prime retail job. Plus all the other benefits.
Plus the medical benefits that you get.
Medical benefits for a part-time employee. You work 21 hours a week, minimum 21 hours a week. You get full medical benefits. You get 401k. You get stock purchase program if you want. You get the restricted stock if they issue it. Tuition reimbursement if you needed some sort of medical advice, where
they're free.
They would direct you to experts in your area on a particular topic, all free. I mean, they had a ton of stuff for employees. Now, am I saying that it's perfect? No place is.
No,
you're always going to have management problems or issues with people you may work with or whatever. But as a corporation, eh, believe me, it is one of the best places to work. And I'm talking about the retail stores. I have no idea what corporate is like, but the retail stores, I loved it.
Yeah, so, I'm looking up right now. Like, if you want, Glassdoor is obviously my favorite spot to look up what someone's getting paid right now. The average pay is between $17 and $20 an hour.
Yeah.
And back when I started, back in 2007, I think that was like $10. And $10 compared to like what it was back then is pretty big. I think 19 is for that job, it's pretty fair.
Yeah. As a creative, when I left, I was making $21.50 an hour.
Okay.
Part-time.
Yeah.
Part-time. So anybody that bitches to me about the money and I'm like, dude, go somewhere else and see what it's like. Because you'll be crawling back on your hands and knees to get a job there. Believe me.
And the average pay for a genius is about $50,000 a year.
Yeah. Now
and that was updated today. So that's what they believe is the average amount, which equals about $25 an hour, I would say.
How about snow days? Well, how many times did they say, hey, guess what? We're closing. That's it. And the mall will still be open. They said, we don't care. We're closing.
Yeah. That happened very, very sparingly. But, and we definitely don't get as many holidays off. We get holiday pay, but not holidays off.
Right. But that's the nature of retail.
Right, of course. So I think $1,000 was cool. It's a good way to keep people kind of on board, especially during a real tough time. But also they got to learn a lot of new skills with the Apple Care knowledge that they gained. I think it offered some people some advancement, especially people that didn't want to work in that kind of environment and, to move on. So
they have all of the, you can try to qualify for the programs in California. You went to a couple of those, right?
Well, I went to a training that was part of my job role, which they don't do anymore, unfortunately.
Right. Well, I was thinking the guys for the radio and stuff that they went on those experiences.
Yeah. So there were definitely, when Apple Music launched, one of the creatives from our store went out to do stuff for the DJing part of it. I don't know what exactly he did, but there's definitely roles. And some of them stay out there permanently. We had one particular in Freehold that's still out there today, writing material that goes behind the scenes for Apple, which is, incredible for her. So, you can absolutely have a career, but I will say it's very slim pickings. Yeah. Like, you'll see one from every store make it to like a corporate job. So it's very hard. You got to work hard at your craft there if you're going to do that.
But
that's our...
That's life, right? You got to work hard.
That is life, sir. Well, that is our episode today of the Think Different podcast. We want to thank everyone, of course, for joining us for every single week. We'd like you to leave us any reviews that you possibly can. Definitely check out our YouTube channel where we have amazing training videos. If you want to learn pages and numbers, we have the top 5 of those categories. You will see us up there. Check it out. We enjoy it, of course. Great episode again, Frank. Always good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Enjoy your vacation.
Yes, I'm going to be off for a week. I'm going to be drinking a lot of Zevia. That's right. We didn't forget about the non-sponsor. It's there. Don't think. You have to listen to the whole podcast to get the Zevia non-sponsorship. But I want to thank you all for coming to the Think Different podcast. Join us again every 2 weeks. We are back here every Friday. We love every single one of you, brother.
Take it easy.